Sarah. On October 8, 1943, a young flight officer named Ralph Hoofer was on his very first combat mission, barely 20 minutes old.
His first mission. He must have been terrified.
He was a farm boy from Missouri, and he had never even fired his guns in anger. But when he saw a German Messerschmitt 109 tearing into an American fighter, something just snapped.
What did he do?
He did the one thing he was explicitly forbidden from doing. He broke formation.
On his first flight?
He broke formation, dove away from his flight, and went hunting. The gun camera footage from that day stunned the veteran pilots back at base.
He got a kill.
He completely disintegrated the German fighter at point-blank range. But that was just the beginning. Over the next 9 months, Ralph Hoofer would destroy 30 German aircraft.
30? How?
By using tactics so reckless, so undisciplined, and so wildly successful that his commanders spent every day debating whether to ground him or promote him.
Hoofer's story really begins on a farm near Salem, Missouri, in 1921. He grew up in a world without electricity or indoor plumbing. The sky was not his domain.
So, he wasn't one of those kids who dreamed of flying.
Not at all. His father died when he was 4, and he grew up tough, surviving the Depression by working the land. He was an athlete, a Golden Gloves boxer, and even played semi-pro football in Chicago.
So, he was a brawler, not a pilot.
Exactly. His aggression was honed in boxing rings, not classrooms. He briefly enrolled in junior college, but couldn't stand the structure. His plan was to head to California to become a professional prize fighter. Aviation was never, ever part of the plan.
How on earth did he end up in a cockpit?
By pure, random chance. In 1941, he was in Detroit, contracted to deliver a car to the West Coast. He took a day trip to Windsor, Ontario.
And he just enlisted?
An immigration official assumed that's why he was there and pointed him to a Royal Canadian Air Force recruiting office. On a whim, Hoofer just signed up. He had never even been inside an airplane.
The prize-fighting career was forgotten? Just like that.
But Mark, aviation training in 1941 was all about mathematical precision, navigation, and strict procedure. You're telling me this aimless brawler made it through?
He possessed none of those qualities, yet somehow he did. By October 1942, he was shipped to Britain. He was frustrated, though, kept in training units, far from the war.
So he transferred to the American forces.
The moment the opportunity came. In June 1943, he transferred to the United States Army Air Forces. He was assigned to the 334th Fighter Squadron, part of the legendary 4th Fighter Group.
The 4th Fighter Group. Weren't they formed from the old Eagle squadrons?
Yes, the American volunteers who had flown for the RAF before America entered the war. They were known as the most aggressive, individualistic, and undisciplined group in the entire 8th Air Force.
He must have fit right in.
He was the poster child. He had long brown hair, wore a bright blue football jersey with the number 78 under his flight suit, and even had a gold snake ring. He looked nothing like a soldier.
I also heard a story about a dog.
His dog, Duke. Witnesses said Hoofer would sometimes take Duke on local flights, leaving his parachute behind to make room. He'd even crouch down to make it look like the dog was flying. This was the man they were about to send into combat. So, let's go back to that first mission, October 8th, 1943. The 4th Fighter Group is escorting B-17 bombers to Bremen, Germany. Hoofer is flying wingman.
His one and only job is to stay in formation and protect his leader.
Right. But over the Netherlands, German fighters attack. The formation breaks. Hoofer gets disoriented, spins down, and when he recovers, he's totally alone, lost, and at low altitude over enemy territory.
The textbook response would be to climb, get his bearings, and head for home as fast as possible.
Hoofer ignored the textbook. He stayed low and spotted a Messerschmitt 109 chasing another American P-47. The P-47 was pouring smoke, clearly doomed.
And Hoofer just reacted.
Pure instinct. He slammed the throttle forward and closed on the 109. The German pilot was so focused on his victim, he never saw Hoofer coming.
What did the gun camera show?
It was brutal. Hoofer opened up from just 100 yards. The film showed the 109 filling the entire frame, just absorbing strikes from 8.5 caliber machine guns. It rolled over and dove straight into the ground.
Unbelievable. His first mission.
Yes, and when the intelligence officers reviewed the film, they were speechless. New pilots simply did not do that. But the film was undeniable. The farm boy had scored.
After that first kill, Hoofer's score began to climb with terrifying speed. But his tactics, they were a commander's nightmare.
He just wouldn't stay in formation.
He treated it as a suggestion at best. On March 18, 1944, he was flying the new P-51 Mustang on an escort to Munich. He was in the number 4 position, the most junior spot, whose only job is to watch everyone else's tail.
Let me guess, he saw something shiny.
He spotted a lone 109 below the formation. Without a single word on the radio, he just split from his flight and dove. The 109 disintegrated.
And now he's alone again, deep in enemy airspace.
Completely. His flight was long gone, probably not even aware he'd left. As he's climbing to find them, he spots another 109.
And he goes after it.
He gives chase. The German pilot apparently glimpses the Mustang closing in and just bails out immediately rather than even try to fight him.
So now he's 2 for 2, but he's in serious trouble.
Worse than trouble. His radio was malfunctioning. He was alone, deep in Germany, and had no way to contact friendly forces. The sensible thing to do was run for home.
But Ralph Hoofer was not a sensible man.
He went looking for more targets. He spotted a German airfield and started hunting. He then found 2 more Messerschmitts. Any sane pilot would have avoided a 2 versus 1 fight. Hoofer climbed right after them.
So Hoofer is climbing at full throttle, alone, trying to engage 2 German fighters when his Mustang's propeller pitch control malfunctions.
Oh, that's bad. That's catastrophic.
The prop blades just stop biting the air. The engine is screaming, the aircraft is shuddering, and he's losing speed. For the first time, survival entered his mind.
What were his options?
The Swiss border was close. He knew he could glide there, be interned, and his war would be over, but he'd be alive. He put the Mustang into a glide toward Switzerland.
He was going to bail out.
He jettisoned the canopy, preparing to jump. And at that exact moment, the propeller pitch control inexplicably fixed itself. The blades bit the air, the engine smoothed out, and the plane was airworthy again.
You're kidding me. So there he is, in an open cockpit P-51 over the Swiss Alps.
He does a quick fuel calculation and decides he might just make it back to England. He turns north and flies the entire way back across German airspace, at altitude, with no canopy.
The wind and the cold must have been brutal.
When he finally landed at an emergency field in England, the ground crew checked his fuel. He had 6 gallons left.
6? A Mustang burns 50 gallons an hour just cruising. He flew home on fumes.
On fumes, with no canopy, after destroying 2 enemy fighters alone deep in Germany. That mission made him an ace.
It also cemented his reputation as a command nightmare who, somehow, brought back kills.
So after that, his commanders just let him loose.
What could they do? His disregard for discipline was total, but the results were undeniable. In the last 10 days of May 1944, he claimed 14 German aircraft destroyed.
14 kills in 10 days.
Yes, both in the air and from strafing heavily defended German airfields. He was promoted twice in that period, all the way to first lieutenant, but it didn't change his behavior one bit.
He was still the same reckless farm boy.
Absolutely. His radio discipline was infamous. While other pilots were maintaining strict silence, Hoofer would key his mic during a mission over the Alps just to say, "Gee, ain't the Alps pretty?"
That's unbelievable.
Then came Operation Frantic, the shuttle mission to Soviet bases in Ukraine. Hoofer refused to get the mandatory vaccinations.
He refused.
His commander, Colonel Blakesley, was furious. He grounded Hoofer and even banned him from the officers' club bar. Only when Hoofer finally relented and got the shots was he cleared for the mission.
Blakesley must have regretted that.
Almost immediately, the mission went smoothly until a brief dogfight over Poland. Predictably, Hoofer got separated from the group. So the entire 4th Fighter Group, led by Blakesley, performs this masterful navigation exercise and lands perfectly at their designated base in Ukraine, in front of a gallery of Soviet officers.
A perfect arrival.
Almost. Everyone is accounted for except for 2 pilots. One was lost over Poland, the other, of course, was Ralph Hoofer.
Where was he?
He had continued east, alone, with his famously terrible navigation skills. He ended up landing at Kiev, completely off course. The suspicious Soviets held him in protective custody for 4 days.
They arrested him.
Pretty much. He was finally released and told to fly to Italy to rejoin the group. He flew with 2 other pilots who had mechanical issues.
Please tell me he made it this time.
One of the pilots told Hoofer his heading was wrong. Hoofer insisted he was right. The other 2 pilots left him and took a different course. One landed in Italy, as planned. The other landed in Sicily.
And Hoofer?
Hoofer, running out of fuel, followed a flight of British planes and landed in Malta. Hundreds of miles off course again.
It's comical. But his luck was about to change, wasn't it? D-Day had happened.
Yes, and on D-Day itself, his flight was ambushed by 109s while strafing a German convoy. 3 of the 4 P-51s were shot down in seconds. The only one who escaped was Hoofer. His final mission came on July 2nd, 1944. The group was escorting bombers attacking Budapest, Hungary.
Hoofer was flying as wingman for Captain George Sanford.
He was. But at the start of the fight, Sanford's plane had major mechanical problems. His drop tanks wouldn't release, and then his engine threw a piston rod. He was forced to break away and head for a lower altitude.
He was going down.
He had no hope of making it back. He belly landed in a Hungarian wheat field and was immediately taken prisoner.
And Hoofer? He was supposed to be protecting his leader.
As Sanford was standing by his wrecked aircraft, he saw a lone P-51 buzz him at low level. He recognized it as Hoofer, who had apparently followed him down to check on him.
That's a noble, if tactically foolish, thing to do.
It was. But as Sanford watched, his heart sank. He saw a Messerschmitt 109 positioned perfectly, directly behind Hoofer. The German pilot opened fire, and the 2 planes disappeared from view.
So that was it. He was shot down by that 109.
That's what everyone believed for decades. When the group returned to Italy that afternoon, 6 Mustangs were missing. Hoofer was one of them. Weeks later, the Red Cross confirmed his body had been found in the wreckage of his P-51 near Mostar, in Yugoslavia.
But wait, Mostar is hundreds of miles south of Budapest.
Exactly. The story didn't add up. The truth about Hoofer's death didn't emerge until 2003,
after painstaking research by an aviation historian.
It wasn't the 109?
It wasn't. Hoofer was not downed by an enemy pilot. He was shot down by ground fire over the German-operated airfield at Mostar Sud.
But why was he there?
That's the part we'll never know. It's possible the 109 that Sanford saw did damage his plane, and he was trying to make an emergency landing.
Or
In keeping with his entire character, he was damaged but decided to strafe the enemy airfield anyway. We only know what the German flak unit's records say.
what did they say?
They report that a P-51 was shot down at low level by anti-aircraft fire and crashed directly into one of the gun emplacements, killing 2 of the German gun crew. The pilot was identified as First Lieutenant Ralph Hoofer. He was 23 years old.
He'd flown 74 missions and destroyed 30 aircraft.
15 in the air, 15 on the ground. He was the second highest scoring ace in the 8th Air Force to be killed in action.
So, in the end, was he a hero or a liability?
That's the paradox. He was both. His commanders tolerated him because he produced results that were impossible to ignore. But his tactics, his aggression, and his complete disregard for rules, they maximized his short-term success while guaranteeing his eventual death. He was never going to survive the war. The only question was how many he would take with him first.